Well, so as the resident gun owner and, pro Second Amendment guy of the two of us, I think that the best way to move forward is to simply ask you, what can I answer for you?
Uh, you know, um, I think, as I listen to you and as I see your posts, I get where you're coming from, right? That you believe that and believe in the Second Amendment. You believe that those rights shouldn't be infringed on. Um, and I'm of a firm believer as well. You know, I have a lot of close friends and a lot of preaching friends who have gun possession. They believe in the Second Amendment as well. um, but this is not per se a question to you, but something for us to grapple on is that um, when do we make room for the other, right? How do we make room for the other?
The other
Because
what?
every yeah, because everybody's so polarized when it comes on into this conversation. You have the one side that says, "Hey, the Second Amendment is the pro Second Amendment. Don't take my guns. You can't take my guns." And then you have the other side of it that's saying, "Hey, um, we need to have gun rights. Look at all the shootings that's going on." So from your perspective, how do we find a middle ground, or how do we begin, in your estimation, how do we begin to come together to where we can decide, come to like an understanding to where, hey, yeah, second, yes, there needs to be some type of gun rights, but how far is enough? Or how far is too much? Um,
So I
if
I
you
think that
understand
you
where I'm going with
I
that.
understand 100% where you're going. And I think
Hmm.
that the answer to that question, the question of itself is how do we make room for each side of the debate?
Right.
So that is probably the easiest part of this dynamic to answer. And the answer is simply have a conversation in good faith. The unfortunate thing is that both sides of the conversation, you mentioned two of the most polarizing sides, the anti gun side, which feels that there should not be a firearm in the hands of anyone, and then the shall not be infringed side, which that group says under no circumstances will we accept any form of control because if we give you an inch, you'll take a mile, right?
Hmm.
So from the very beginning, if we're dealing with either one of those sides or we're dealing with both of those sides, neither one of them are coming to the conversation in good faith. You and I both know in a marriage and in a relationship, if your wife is upset about something, even if you don't believe that how she views the situation is 100% accurate, or if you don't believe that she's justified in where she's coming from, if you come to that table with anything less than a good faith heart to have a dialogue and figure out where she's coming from, how she sees the situation, and how you, as the man of the house, can facilitate a better understanding of where she's coming from so that you guys can move forward. At the end of the day, your stance might not change on whatever the conversation is, right? But if you don't come to that table in good faith, nothing is going to change. And we have not had a conversation around the Second Amendment. We haven't had a conversation around what is leading to mass shootings. We haven't had a conversation about the reality of where our country is in terms of immigration, in terms of people's idea of accountability, in terms of public safety, in terms of police response. There are 100 million different things that are a part of the conversation. And when the topic comes up, neither side is coming to the table with the good faith desire to find a solution. And unfortunately, Anthony, like there's no solution on either side of this debate that is going to be 100% um, that is going to be 100% able to solve the problem. So what's the main problem? The main problem is we don't want mass shootings on one side. I don't think either side wants mass shootings, right? On the other side, We don't want people to be victimized or become victims to crime. So if we try to eradicate gun ownership in some mythological idea to stop mass shootings, that is going to lead to people continually being victimized or being victims of crime. But if we take the idea that we can't put any regulation on firearms, then that is going to lead to people who are going to perform mass shootings to being able to get those firearms in a much easier way. So we have a problem that we can both agree on. But we have to come to that conversation willing to say, look, I'm going to have to give something, you're going to have to give something, because ultimately we want to come to a solution that works for everybody. But unfortunately, that's not happening.